Once again, to spoil the show, Bitcoin has dumped massively, and of course all the alts have followed. And today I'm actually going to take a look at the prices for KSM, which is Kusama, also PCX, which is ChainX, Ring from Darwinia network, and also PDEX from Polkadex. And really what I'm going to be looking at is how low can we potentially go and what are the next areas of resistance if we do move back up, because it all depends if Bitcoin stabilizes. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is still responsible for moving the price of the rest of the altcoins. So there is that concern. We're not decoupled, right? And it is a shame because we've got the parachain auctions just around the corner on Kusama, and seeing this huge dump with people being stuck in various tokens, assets, not being able to sell if they didn't buy Kusama on time, and maybe not having capital to buy Kusama now on the cheap in order to take part in these auctions is horrible, right? I'm sure there are many people that are affected by this because they're caught in other assets and they simply can't sell in order to get Kusama if they didn't get Kusama early enough. Now, if you hold Kusama, it doesn't matter because you're going to lock them up anyway for up to a year in order to partake in these parachain auctions. But let's take a look at the prices to see how bad can we go. So here we could see, if we look at Kusama on the USDT pair on Binance, because this is where we have most of the trading history. So here you can see that once we've touched the 550 area, then we moved down to the 314 area, which had a bit of support here because of this pop here, and not only that, but we're also riding this moving average very nicely. So as you can see here, the 99-day moving average is acting as great support here, right? We've actually touched it exactly on the tip, as you can see here, exactly on the tip with this wick here, and then we moved back up, right? So awesome. And now we broke below it with this dump, right? And we may be asking ourselves, or where is the next area of support if we're going to go down, right? So we've got some support here at 330. As you can see, we're actually trading at that right now simply because of this pop here. So this is acting as a little bit of support, not that strong. And then we've got another bit of support here on the 270 area, which we did get to. If you see here, these dips, we had them down there, right? But then we had this huge wick here, which didn't last, and it moved back up here to this area of support. So it seems like this area of support was actually holding quite strong. Even though we broke below it, it didn't last. It moved back up straight away. So then, of course, if we were to break below this 158 area and we kept on going down, then it's pretty horrible for Kusama, right? Because the next areas of support would be around here, around the 120 range, perhaps even the 115, so anything between 110 and 125. Right? Because you can't really be exact here. It's more or less, right? This is how it acts. So as you can see, this one is quite strong here around this area. But if we dump that low, just imagine, that'd be pretty horrible, right? But again, nothing is impossible. And it just shows you once again that it is possible, right? Doesn't matter how many people are staking Kusama. It doesn't matter how many strong hodlers there are, how many people are buying ahead of the auctions. The price can still dump because at the end of the day, people panic, and also the bots panic too. Well, the bots get triggered, to be honest, as soon as people panic sell. So yeah, with regards to going back up, if we're to push back to the upside, and I have no doubt we will, as long as Bitcoin recovers or stabilizes, people will still have interest, of course, in the parachain auction. So now we've got a bit of a problem here around this area of $400. As you can see here, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle around this area simply because now this area is going to act as resistance. So we're going to get to 430, but we're going to struggle, and we're likely going to break it if there's enough FOMO, if the market does recover. But if Bitcoin stabilizes, we're not going to have that much buying power, in my opinion, to break past 430. But it all depends on the auctions and the kind of hype that we'll have. I've also been told that there's going to be 5 parachains connected to Kusama at the beginning just to test out the network. And I think that SharePix is going to be one of them. So there is going to be some buying power for people that have not bought just to take part in these auctions. But not everyone is so hyped up. The majority of the hype is towards Karura from Akala network, because people that want to take part in that, pretty much like a token sale, will need to buy KSM for that, right? And we got to remember that Karura only has a 100 million total supply, so it is a low supply. It's very, very likely going to get listed on Binance, so people know that, and people just want to get in on the cheap, assuming that they have fiat or USDT to get into Kusama. So yeah, 430 is the next area of resistance here that we're going to encounter. And then if we break that, then as you can see here, the next one would be around 550 here, which is this area here that's going to be acting as a little bit of resistance. So yeah, Let's take a look at PCX next, and that's from ChainX. So this one has done horribly bad, as you know, because the issue with ChainX is that there isn't that much buying power after a dump, right? There isn't that much buying power simply because it's not listed on large exchanges like Binance. Like if we're on Binance or Huobi at least, I think that there would be enough demand, enough buying power, especially now with the upcoming auctions, right? People would want to scoop up PCX on the cheap just to be able to take part in that airdrop, which is going to be very, very soon. Apparently it's going to happen once State Mine is going to launch on Kusama. That's what has been said in that latest article that we've got from ChainX. I haven't actually covered that article yet. I'm going to do so in the next news video that I'm going to do, but today I just really wanted to focus on the price. So anyway, yeah, it's done horribly bad here. As you can see, we did dump below $8, which was the area of support, and it acted as support so nicely here. And we've touched it a number of times, right? We can see here we've touched $8, and the reason I'm looking at MXC and IQcoin is because we've got more historical background here, more historical chart to look at, right? So yeah, $8, as I was saying many times as I've covered PCX in various price videos, was acting as support. We broke below that, so now the next area is around $6 here, which is this area here. As you can see, let's zoom in a little bit. So this area here is acting as support now, which is $6.30, so just around this area here. And we did actually dump that low. We actually went even lower here on MXC. We actually went to 571, and we've pulled back up a bit just because of that area of support. Thankfully it saved us, but it's not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty at all, because after this one the next area is around here, which is 530. So if we break below this, if there's much more selling pressure, and I hope there isn't, because if Bitcoin stabilizes, there's no need for people to sell PCX or for bots to sell PCX, because bots will sell PCX too. At the end of the day, it is on an exchange, right? And they're trading there. So if we break below that, then the next area, which should hold pretty well, is around the 480, as you can see here. 470 to 480, and I am very concerned if we get that low, because if we go that low, it's like the sentiment is going to be lost in a way for many people, especially those that bought in at the top. There are people that bought in at over $15. There are people that bought in, like the majority bought in at over $10. I remember doing a poll on Twitter. So yeah, if we go that low to 470, 480, and people don't have the capital to buy, if people have the capital to buy, then it's all good. But if they don't, then there's going to be that negative sentiment that they've lost a lot of their value, right? And it's a long wait before we're going to see PCX at $18 again. We got to be honest here. We got to be realistic. It's not going to be easy unless some major catalyst happens, unless Bitcoin turns around, unless we're going to get listed on Binance. I do think we're going to get listed on OKX just because of what I've covered yesterday in the video with OKX supporting the parachain auctions on Kusama, SharePikes being there. So it's likely that OKX are also going to list KSX together with PCX. So yes, I am a bit concerned. I'm not going to lie. I am concerned, and I'm sure you are too. And it does look worrisome here, because just imagine giving it all back and going to 470, right? Especially if you got in, like my average was around 440 for the entry, right? I got in like some at 390. Then I got in around 450. So yeah, I mean, yeah, 440, 450 is my average overall. But seeing it go back and giving it all back, you know, it's horrible, right? It's horrible. But it is what it is, right? Especially if you didn't sell around the top here to be able to accumulate more on the dip. So yeah, this is the unfortunate thing, right? Because the issue is that when we have this 14-day lockup, I know that you believe in it long term, right? But again, the issue with this is that if you didn't buy in very early and you didn't take any profit whatsoever, you didn't unstake to take some profit. I'm not saying unstake at all, but unstake some to take some profit, then you're pretty much giving it all back. Even though you're getting those staking rewards, is not the same, right? You're going to get the staking rewards, you're going to sell at different levels, so you're going to get nice income, but then when you give it all back, it doesn't feel the same, right? Because your overall portfolio value has just significantly dropped once again. But it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. This is how markets move. So we just have to be careful and try to catch these dips if we can. Always have some tether aside for these dips, and always sell some on the way up, to be honest, because you need to be prepared for these dips. I'm not saying sell everything, because you never know how the market moves, but it's just unlikely that a hype can usually persist for so long, right? The probability is much lower. It's much more likely that the market's going to dump, and we've just seen it here. Next, let's talk about Ring, because we spent quite some time on PCX there. So Ring has crashed to the floor here, as you can see, humongous crash, even worse than PCX, to be honest, because we did go to 30 cents at the top here, top of the hype, and then the massive sell-off happened here. As the hype has died down, and people have been selling their staking rewards, because remember, if you're staking K-ton, you're generating a lot of Ring. So of course all those people that have a ton of K-ton are gonna dump Ring like crazy, and this is why I am concerned holding Ring personally, just because of this potential dump that you're gonna see in the market, because at the end of the day you're just gonna suffer the dump from the stakers, right? This is how you have to see it. It's the realistic scenario here. And how low can we get? Well, we have actually gone to 4.9 here, so you can see here. How low did we go today? We went to 4.6 today, so we actually touched, which area did we touch here? Let's zoom in here. Okay, we've got some support here, but it's very little. It's very little, but we have some support here, so this is acting as support now. And then the next line down would be 4.3. Okay, so 4.3 seems to be quite strong as support here around this area, 4.2, 4.3. So yeah, I mean, in the worst case scenario with Ring, we could go back to this area again. But then the issue is that the next area of support is quite low. It's 3.7. So yeah, if we break below 4.3, we could go to 3.7 with Ring, and we're going to hold around 3.7 for quite some time. As you can see, we've got more support here around 3.5 to 3.7 for Ring. So I think that 3.7 can hold pretty well. But then the issue is, as you know, if we go back even further, if there's more selling pressure, we could see Ring below 1 cent. And it's sad, but it could happen. But I am pretty confident that this is going to hold, as long as Bitcoin doesn't dump to 20,000, as many traders say. If Bitcoin dumps to 20,000, we're screwed. It's as simple as that. There's no stopping it. Ring will dump. Now the next one I want to talk about is PDEX, a lot of people's favorites, of course, mine included. Now, after this massive run-up that we had here, where we didn't actually touch $40, did we? We actually went to 38.55. That was the top, I think. We didn't go higher than that, did we? Let's see, 38. Yeah, 38.55 was the top here. So yeah, just seeing this, like, we've actually touched this before, right? So if we go back here, let's look at the historical chart. If you look at this huge wick that we had here back in April, on the 18th of April, we actually went to 39.90, and that was acting as resistance, right? From the massive pump that we had here from 10,000, dumping from 10,000, going to like 100 and something, and then coming back down. So yeah, that's acting as resistance. As you can see here, we've had a few pops here. This one was acting as resistance, $23 from here, from this area here, which was support in the past. And we've tried to touch that multiple times, right? 1, 2 here, and then we broke past it here. And I did say that once we break past it, we're likely going to touch the $40 range, $39, $40 range, and we did. We touched it, and we didn't manage to break it. We tried it again, we didn't manage to break it, and then you could see it got weaker here. There wasn't enough buying power for PDEX, especially with PDEX, Polkadex being so far away from launching. It's not until August. So maybe there was some FOMO, maybe there was some, I don't know, some market makers here, I don't know what the heck, maybe even a P&D group, right? It could have been. Or maybe it was just purely hype and speculation from the Polkadot Decoded event. I don't know what it was. I just didn't understand why we had this humongous buying pressure here. It didn't make much sense to me with no news whatsoever aside from Polkadot Decoded. But maybe it was Polkadot Decoded that triggered this. But nevertheless, Polkadex is going to be an awesome project, but the fact that it's not live until August did concern me, that we're getting this massive pump, massive FOMO buying here. So as you can see, I think this was manipulated in my opinion. And as you can see, of course, then with the market crashing, we went back down. But I think it could have continued here had the market not crashed. We could have stuck around this area and consolidated around $30 to $35, which would have been awesome, because as soon as we would have gotten some news, especially at the end of this month, start of next month, when testnet is going to go live, we could have potentially broken past that $40, and there would have been enough buying pressure because they would have something to show. Right now, they've got nothing to show. They're in development, but we don't have that testnet. So yeah, I think that now, I mean, we're back to this area, which is $17 here. You could see that this is acting as support, and there's really good support around this area, so I'm not too concerned. But if we do go break lower, we're going to be moving back to this area that we went to in the past, which is $14, even $13. We've touched $13 before, and we quickly pushed back up to the 14-15 range. So I'm not too concerned about PDEX as long as the market's doing well. I think that this area is going to hold, and then of course anyone's accumulating now, if the market goes back up and doesn't dump to, if we don't see Bitcoin dump to 20k, then we're likely going to see Polkadex push right back up once again. So it is very good here when it comes to this price holding. So again, personally, if I had the USDT, I'm not actually tethered in, unfortunately. I'm stuck in crypto as well. But if I was tethered, I would have bought around this area here. I would have targeted anything between 13 and 15 for PDEX just to feel comfortable, right? Because even if it would dump to 10 or to 9, whatever, I would still feel comfortable with this 13 to 15 range, just because we've seen a lot of accumulation around this area. So a lot of people have bought around that area, and they're unlikely going to sell at a loss knowing what's to come for Polkadex, right? So yeah, 13 to 15 range is where I feel comfortable at. And if we're to push to the upside, I think that $28 is going to be a struggle now, because we've got a lot of resistance now, which was previously support around this area. So do expect some resistance at 28, but I think we're going to see it eventually. It could take a while though, just keep that in mind. Even if the market does turn around, it could take a while, as you can see here, because we've dumped quite heavily. So that's it from today's price talk video. I just wanted to quickly go through these Polkadot Eco tokens and coins. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you hold at the moment, and what are you stuck in? And have you tethered in? Are you thinking to get back into anything on these dips? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.